All right. Hey, it's Matt, BlindGuysGarage. And today, I'm going to make a quick intro for y'all, because you can see we got a lot of work to do. So, BlindGuysGarage engine shop is currently open. We got the LS motor, 6 liter, right here, brand new. We're going to start putting him together. We've got the small block Chevy. You've already kind of seen a little bit here and there on the channel. I've got some video for this motor, but obviously it's changed a little since the last time I've seen the motor. Not much, but a little bit. We had to stop and order parts for it, so we've got those. We're ready to put it together. We have the this is the knocking nitrous big block that you saw on the run stand. It has now been full worked over and has been clearance for a stroker. Studded in the bottom end, line honed, all the goodies, it's ready to go. And then here is the burnt big block out of the motorhome. So, there they are. Now, I'm going to get to building. So, these will probably come out in separate times because I might get old watching the same thing continuously. If y'all want to see them all in line, y'all let me know. So, here we go. Let's start by like, share, and subscribe. Always. Comment. Let me know what you think about what we're doing. And we're going to get started on building one of these motors. I don't know which one we're going to start on. So, like I said, y'all let me know what y'all thinking. Alright, and real quick, our tool array. This is my little workbench. It's kind of full. So, a lot of the tools we're going to need. I'm not sure, not all of it. Obviously, torque wrench, random assorted sockets, ratchet, duct tape. That'll come later. Then you got our dial. This is our dial indicator with our deck bridge and all that, dial bore gauge, piston ring squeezers, and I can't think, micrometers. So that gets our tool portion started. Now let's get these things together. All right. Well, it's bearing time. I've already put bearings in all the caps. We're gonna put bearings in the mains. In the block now. So we do our best we can not to put fingers on the bearing surfaces. And why is this bearing not wanting to fit? There it goes. All right. Put lock to notch, or keyway to keyway, however you consider it. Press her in. And she should sit in there nice and firm. There she is. And now we'll do the rest of them real quick. They're all right here in a pack. Everything is all brand new. And this gives us the chance we need to be able to check and make sure. A bit of oil on the backside of that for some reason. This gives us a little bit of a chance to check, and we'll put the caps on, and we'll run a dial bore gauge to the block, or we'll check the crank and run a dial bore gauge on each hole and just check everything out. So let's get it going. All right, all the bearings are installed. We're going to drop the caps on and start checking bearing clearances. These caps are numbered. Number 1, and you point the arrow forward, of course. Just keep those 2 as 4, right? Same thing all the way down. Number 2, arrow forward. Number 3, arrow forward. Number 4, guess what? Arrow forward. Number 5, the thrust bearing. Well, for those wondering, it don't have a bearing. It don't have an arrow, so you probably shouldn't be able to put it on backwards. Only a real smart guy would do so. So, set him in. Now we'll grab these nuts and we'll drop them all in and start torquing everything. All right, torque wrench time. Told y'all I do know how to torque things, and I do have a nice torque wrench. I only use it for nice things, though. We're going to torque these at 73 foot-pounds. I never noticed it had a light on it, as you probably just saw me watching it. All right, now we're gonna do some dial bore gauging. So take a little dial bore gauge, set it up. You'll have multiple different sizes in it. You'll figure that part out. I struggle doing this job. It takes me a lot longer than it does a normal person. The visual thing is oh, that's a good rag. Well, can't touch the motor with it now. Like I said, I struggle doing this. I'm gonna do my best I can to show you this because it's hard enough for me to do it. So take dial bore gauge, set it in place on the bearing, open her up. All right, and what you're gonna do, if I can get my big ass head out the way, is you'll zero the needle out right here. See, I think that's 0. And what you walk it all the way one way, and you see it's going down. Okay. Then you walk it all the way the other, and you'll see it starts moving in just a second. And there it goes. See how it's moving? Then you go all the way back to 0, and you'll zero it out right there. Okay. Now we'll switch to the crank. All right, now we'll step to another tool. This is a micrometer. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the very front main bearing right here, crack her open, make sure she's not going to touch everything, lay her in here nice and tight up against it, and you'll find it. You want to center this on the crank right here, give or take whatever center is. You start tightening her up, walk her around real gentle now. You don't want to scratch the crank up, but at the same point we want to make sure we get it at the tightest point. So it's kind of a walking playing game. So that's too tight. So back her off just a little bit. And you also want to make sure that you don't end up in the oil port. There's a machined in oil port right there. See it right there? So you want to make sure you're not landing in that, because that'll throw your bearing measurement all kinds of off. Ask me how I know. So we get her in here close. Like I said, now you kind of walk her around a little bit. Micrometer, there you go. That's it right there. Now you set this, tighten that lock right there up, and then I think we're good. That's it right there. Nice and tight. You can feel just a little grab on it. We'll move across it and make sure the whole journal is that right there. That one's a little looser right there. Nope, it's got, there you go. So we're within spec there. Real tight. Just double check it at the very bottom real quick. That's it. That's it. That's it. All right. Now we'll go to the next step. All right. So now that micrometer we just took and put in on the crankshaft, right over here, and we'll set it in the vise very, very gently. We don't squeeze it. I mean, we do, but you're putting very little pressure on it. I mean, extreme minimals. There you go, just enough to where it's like a third hand. Now, I'll bring you over here. All right, I measured this guy off camera. Let's see if we get the same measurement on camera. It's all in how you hold the thing here. And I'm going to do my best to show you exactly the right reading. So what you do is you get in here, and you have to walk this thing straight up between everything. I can't see the camera, so I'll inspect it off camera. But you see how you move it and it changes it? See that? If you go too far, it'll fall off the spot. But I got 3 thou, or 3/100ths off camera. All right. Whew. Tired, but our bearing clearances are good. So off camera, I checked all of them. As you saw on camera, we checked number 1. Number 1 is right at 3. Number 2, also right at 3. Matter of fact, I didn't write them down. So number 1, we know was right about 3. We saw it dead on the camera. Everybody on here is between 29, or sorry, is 3 to 32, somewhere in there, except for the thrust main, which is about 35. I'm on the money with that. Give it to me. So I'm going to lay the crank, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay the crank. So we'll put a little bit of bearing juice on there, lay the crank out, and we know we're good to go. Then we'll check the rods. All right, now it's time to lay the crank. So what we're gonna do, red line assembly lube, my favorite stuff. We're gonna put a little bit. We'll put a little bit on the bottom main, oops, on the main right there. Drip them on the outside, drip them on the outside. A little bit right there, across that main, boom. A little bit right there, across that main, boom. A little bit across that main, boom. I didn't get any on that one. There you go. And then a little bit right there, drip, 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 drip. All right. Now, take your finger and you dip it straight in the assembly lubricant. You just wipe it up the bearing face. There you go. Same thing all the way across. And then back here, boom. And we'll wipe some on the thrust face. I didn't get enough on that one. So let's go back through and add just a little bit more to our friends here. Drip, 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 drip. This one could use a little more too. Drip, drip. There we go. There you go. That one's got a nice coat on it now. Oh, that's way better. Then you wipe a little bit on the thrust surfaces on both sides because you don't want it to be dry. Same thing. Thrust surface on both sides. We'll add a little extra to this one too. Deep. There we go. There you go. I prefer having a little too much and not enough. Some people I'm sure will disagree, but there you go. All right. Now, next thing is I'm going to just go ahead and wipe these threads down with what's on my fingers. Make sure the threads got some good juice on them. Make them easier to torque. Okay. Now, last thing. All these studs should be finger tight. So you just run them into their finger tight. I didn't install these in this motor. They were already installed from the machine shop, and they tried to walk out as I was taking the caps off, so I figured I'd mention that to y'all. So there you go, and there you go. Now they're all tight. So now we'll grab the crankshaft and lay it in. Actually, I probably need to put the rear main seal in the backside first, so I'll bring it back in a second. All right, so we're working off the back of the block. What we're gonna do is get a clean rag right here. We're gonna take and make sure this sealing lip is clean, which there's no reason why it shouldn't be. We've brake cleaned it, blown it, cleaned it, you know. Now, controversial thing. I always put just a thin dab of silicone across this. Just, I mean, a tiny dab. Right here across this lip where the seal rod's at, to be sure that you don't have any silicone, I mean not silicone, any oil seep past the seal, because I've seen it happen on race cars and everything else. So like I said, it's a controversial thing. It's what I do. It's what I was taught to do. So there she is. Okay. Now, for installing the seal, I'll wipe that on my shirt because I don't want to wipe it on my clean rag. So now we'll grab one of the seals and you install it with the big lip facing the front of the motor. And we're going to clock it slightly once we get it all in here and set. So I'll set her in here just like so. Clock it about that much right there. And that's all we're going to do with it. Now, we'll get the crankshaft and lay it in. Okay, now when you go to lay the crank, you want to be sure not to hit the studs. I'm probably going to do that. So, here we go. Whew. For those who hadn't tried it, big block crank's heavy and it ain't even in the place yet. So let's lift her back up. There, now she's in place. Damn. Joker's heavy. You forget how heavy they are. Now, should turn and be free. Feels fine. Ow, that was dumb. Okay. Now let's put the caps on. Alright, we'll get us a little bit of assembly lube. And we'll drip her down on that crankshaft right there, just like that. And just kind of slime it across slime it across her. Not perfect, but I made a mess back there with this rust bearing. Now, let's put all these caps on. I'm just going to set them on one at a time, and we'll start with the middle. Number 3. Double check she's number 3. And double check she's facing the right direction. Never hurts. Then you grab two nuts and 2 washers, and since we check bearing clearance, we should have no problems. But every now and then you run into a problem. So let me grab my other ratchet and I'll be right back. Crankshaft still turn? Yep, sure does. Now let's torque it. $73 foot-pounds coming up. Grab the crank. Still moves good. I'm gonna crack this one back loose real quick to make sure that I didn't over torque it. Right here somewhere. Alright, so 2 things is now about to happen at one time. We gotta set the rear main cap, and we gotta set the crankshaft in play. So, let me grab a hammer. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap the crankshaft all the way forward. We're gonna check the number and 0 it. So if it's not 0, we're gonna need to 0. And there we go, we're at 0. Tap it forward again. And we're still at 0. Okay. So now what we're going to do Same thing we did on the other side, that controversial thing that I was talking about. Take a little bit of silicone. We'll put it right here on this main cap. Except there's two places I put silicone on this one. So put you a thin bead right here across the lip like we talked about on the last one. Just right here, just on the lip. And you put your seal in, clock it. Make sure you clock it the opposite direction of the way you clocked the last one. So on the back side, back here, we will have the seal pointed the seal pointing right there. Alright. So that means that this side needs to be up that 3/8 of an inch or so. Okay. And then take you just a dab of silicone right here on both sides. And this will seal the mating surface of the block right there. And a little bit right there on that. Wipe it off. Make sure the big lip is to the front of the motor, which it is. I'll find that cap in a second. Where did I put that cap? I'll find it in just a second. So now when you flip this over, this side here, which y'all can't see from there probably, is up. This side's up. That'll seal the main off. And let's drop this cap on here. Just like so. And everything should fall together. Now, take your little rubber mallet right here. Just tap him down. There he goes. Make sure he falls past his little locks there. He did. And that's it. That's the main cap. Now, we gotta check and find my silicone cap. There's my cap. And set the nuts on. Okay, now we'll double check our front thing here, and we're sitting the front a hair off of 0, so tap her forward. Dead on 0. Right here on the crank counterweight, gotta find one that's sticking up nice. Really not one. So we'll just hit her right here. 2 taps backwards. And that's 4 thousandths, 400ths. That's good. Now, tap her forward one more time. She should 0 out. She did. Tap it backwards. Where's that main spot on it? Right here. There she is. All the way back. There she is. And now torque her down right where she's at. Then we'll double check it one more time after she's torqued to make sure the crank walks. Alright, so we got the crank blade, everything measured on it on the main side. Everything turns real free and good like it's supposed to. The main seal's got a nice little grasp on it like it's supposed to. But it spins nice and free. See, here's it. See, spins good. So only holding thing back is the rear main seal. So I think we might end this one right here. And we'll start knocking pistons in tomorrow and measuring for all that. So that'll be a whole nother video. So if y'all have enjoyed what you see, like, share, and subscribe, please. And if you leave me a comment, I will reply back one way or the other. Any questions, ask me. I'll do what I can to answer anything you got. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. You know, it helps me, helps y'all, and definitely helps the channel grow. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.